All right, so I've got 2 containers, 2 bottles, 1 part B activator, 1 part A resin. They have you measure them into separate bowls, each one, so you get the same exact amount. So in this case, I've got a very small application. It looks like that. I have 2 of these that I need to do. And so the smallest measurement they give you is 3 square feet. That seems way more than enough for those 2, but they also say be generous. And I didn't do that the first time I did this. So I'm going to measure out for 3 square feet. They want 1 pint of each amount. So okay, so actually I'm doing half of that is what I decided to do. Not 3 square feet, but 1.5 should be enough. 3 by 5, 15, close. All right, so we got that guy in there. So I'm doing a half a cup of each one. I'm just going up to that first half cup line on each one. So for this project, I'm using Parks Super Glaze. You can pick it up at Home Depot. This box was 22 bucks. It says it has 70, it's the equivalent of 75 coats of varnish. And I've used it before and it works great. So the next step, the first was measure, the second is mix. Thoroughly mix part A with part B using a clean stir stick. So I've got my container. Part A is the activator. Part B is the resin. Alright, so that's the majority of those. Let me just take a quick scrape here on this one. Okay. And I'll do the same thing with this one here. Now the less you can, you're going to need to stir the mixture together, but they recommend that it's more like folding the mixture together if you're familiar with cooking terms. So the idea isn't to stir it up and get a bunch of bubbles in it, it's quite the opposite. The idea is to go very slowly and just fold it together little by little. Because those air bubbles that are in there from when you're stirring, those are going to stay in there typically on the piece that you're completing. Now from this point where I just mixed them together here, we have, they say anywhere from 20 minutes to a half an hour before this thing sets. So you have an ample amount of time depending upon what size piece you're doing. I did a very large desktop and 20 minutes didn't seem like very long because I needed to do 3 full pours of these. So 3 sets of 2 bottles, full bottles. And it turned out very nice. Few bubbles. The main mistake I guess I made was that I under poured in some cases. I was trying to be conservative and not waste and all that kind of thing. And the reality of it is that some places didn't auto level themselves. That's the other part about this stuff that's very cool, is that it will auto level, which means as it dries, it spreads out and you'll get kind of a uniform coat over everything. And so you're going to see when I pour it later, that what I do with it actually is I'm just going to pour it over the top and let it run all the way down the sides, and then I'm just going to fill in the places where starting to get a few bubbles. I'm going to fill in the places that didn't get covered just naturally, and then I'm just going to let gravity take its course, essentially. The other thing that you can do is, as it's drying, and I don't know, I've read both sides of this, but I did it on my first project. You can use a little bit of a hair dryer. Once it's all been poured onto your surface, use a hair dryer to just go over the top of that thin layer, and it'll pop some of those bubbles. It'll bring them right to the surface and kind of clean up any little maybe over stirring you might have done. So I think this is plenty good right now. I am seeing when I feel like it's too many bubbles here.